Minnesota Governor Tim Walz spoke with President Biden yesterday, and he joins us now. Governor, good morning. It's nice to see you.
Morning, Gail.
I'm really happy to be here. I want the audience to know that when the governor sat down, he goes, "It's a really good morning. I can look around. There are no broken windows." I talked about the night before that I couldn't sleep. A lot of people felt that way. I can only imagine what you must have been feeling.
Yeah,
Minnesotans
are breathing that sigh of relief. I think that white hot spotlight that's been on us since we in the world watched George Floyd be murdered feels different today. Now we're the state that convicted George Floyd's murder, and I think what I'm hearing from folks is now let's start the hard work.
I want to get to the hard work for just a second, but did you think that it could go 3 for 3? Did you think that?
Well, what's really interesting about this, and yes, because Keith Ellison's an amazing attorney general, and he had an amazing team.
The team he put together was outstanding.
And the courage of those witnesses, including children who had the courage to sit on that stand after videotaping, I thought the case was solid. I keep silent but everything in my heart said they're going to get the conviction. And then I would talk to black Minnesotans who would say, we don't believe that. It never works that way. And I think that just highlights where that gap is and how big it is.
You did see a difference between how white people saw it and how black people saw the verdict.
Absolutely. There was not a black person I talked to that had any comfort. They acknowledged this was an amazing prosecution. It was the evidence was overwhelming. He murdered George Floyd on that street last May, but they said this has happened time and time again, and it doesn't work. And so I think that sense of they see it today, I do think there's the sense of that we're celebrating something that should have been so clear-cut and normal, but it's not for black Minnesotans and black Americans.
No. But now when you talk about the hard work, what does that mean? I talked to 2 of your councilmen yesterday, Jeremiah Ellison and Stephen Fletcher, that said basically nothing has changed in terms of policing, in terms of how things are handled in this state. Considering how George Floyd was murdered, nothing has changed in the year. What do you say to that?
No, I think they're right, and I think that's the feeling that much more has to be done. And one of the things was we came together in July in the aftermath of that, and in a divided legislature, we found bipartisan. It's not a big lift to say we should ban chokeholds, but there were so many activists saying that's not good enough. You need to make sure that mental health, folks are responding to these. You need to make sure that traffic stops are not reasons to arrest folks and lead to these confrontations you see. So I think now is that moment. This white hot spotlight that's been on Minnesota can't leave now. My fear is everybody packs up and we think we got this. And as I've been saying, this is the floor. This is the very basic floor of what should be done. But what led to that happening on 38th in Chicago were all the things we need to change. I'm a school teacher. My wife and I are school teachers. The education inequities, we have to do better. We do very well for our white children. We don't do well for our black children. So now's the time to let's invest in education. Let's invest in healthcare disparities. Let's make sure home ownership starts to bring up black Minnesotans.
But they would say, Governor, you're sitting in the big boy chair. You're the governor. Do something.
Yeah, well, it's my job to convene the conversation. One of the powers of the governor and the executive branch is to convene the conversation. I have the only divided legislature in the country where one house is Democrat and one is Senate. We're going to have to find a way to put politics behind, but I will acknowledge them to this. When we see folks out there expressing their First Amendment rights and we have police departments reaching too far or putting people in a position where they feel that that's the threat, this afternoon I'll be talking with former Attorney General Eric Holder, and we need to put things in place that ask us to have those hard looks, ask us how we're dealing with the media, how we're doing policing, and have a statewide standard. We have a post board, put in some standards.
Well, people say that you certainly acknowledge the discrepancy with black people. Too many black people have lost and continue to lose their lives at the hand of law enforcement. You said that. Your lieutenant governor said Minnesota is a place where it is not safe to be black. This is the essence of an emergency we face. I think people of color listening to that are going, what?
Well,
not very comforting or welcoming.
No, and it needs to be. I agree, and I think the lieutenant governor, as a woman of color, an indigenous woman, that's her life lived experiences. Mine as a white man, it's different, but it's my responsibility to bridge that gap. It's not black people who don't see this. It's white people who need to see it. So I need to bring that in.
All right, Tim Walz, a white man. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's very good to meet you, sir.
Nice meeting you.